A lot of people are talking about immigrants causing the housing crisis here in Canada, making the housing unaffordable. The prices for real estate skyrocketing and rents being just out of reach. And a lot of people and politicians in Canada, not to mention names, point fingers at us, immigrants, which are a lot of people here in Canada, like myself, for example. Now, guys, I want to tell you that what are the main reasons how that contributes to the housing crisis from somebody who is involved into real estate myself, being a realtor, is experienced in Calgary, Alberta. So I want to tell you from a realtor's perspective on how it impacts and some things that could contribute towards it. But I want to debunk one thing, is that immigration is not the only reason and not the only thing that impacts the housing. The real reason why the housing is so expensive and unaffordable is lack of it, is supply and demand. Okay, now back to the topic. Canada is actually planning to bring, by the way guys, I forgot to say, what's up and welcome back to this YouTube channel, it's your guy Igor here. Canada is actually planning to bring over 1.5 million immigrants in the next 3 years. That's the plan set out by Canada Immigration, and every year they have been increasing the amount of immigrants by like 50,000. You can go and check out the entire program on the Immigration Canada website, and do your own research, but roughly let's put the number at 1.5 million. Now, here is how immigrants can contribute towards the housing problem. Now guys, I want to show you, as an immigrant myself, I'm living in this community. I'm going to go around, show you how Canadian weather looks like and the streets, so you don't have to only look at my boring face and you can have a look around in the community where I live. Anyways, so first thing is, of course guys, supply and demand. First thing is, say you have one house, how many people want to own that house? And how many immigrants, and it increases the population of Canada. Not only that, a lot of immigrants, they do come with money. It's one of the requirements for immigration, besides having education. Other thing is money. So a lot of them come with money and they need a place to stay. So it does increase the prices, because now all of a sudden more population wants that property, 1, 2, 3 property, for example, on that side of the street, and it creates a bidding war, because now there's a bunch of Canadians, a bunch of immigrants who already lived in Canada for many years, who want that property, and now there's a bunch of more people who just came to Canada who also want to settle in there. Now guys, also contributing to that factor is Alberta becoming one of the most popular provinces. So a lot of immigrants move into Ontario, to Toronto, to Vancouver, later on regret their decisions, and they end up moving to Alberta, to Calgary. So here's now the situation where housing are unaffordable. Another part, what contributes toward the housing problem in Canada is, well, immigrants like to stick to their own communities. For example, just so you can enjoy the weather a little bit walking around, people living in Brampton, in Ontario, or let's say, I don't want to, label northeast of Calgary as Brampton, let's say. What's going on? Talking about immigrants, there is one immigrant driving right there. And anyways, I don't know if he's going to be turning around or not. Anyways, guys, immigrants like to stick to their own communities. So, for example, myself here in Calgary, Alberta, I was like, Northeast is not a very popular community. A lot of people don't want to leave to stay there in Northeast. My wife is from India, and I know a lot of Indian people don't want to stay in Northeast because it's too clustered of the same kind of community. But meanwhile, a huge Punjabi community, Punjabis, want to stay there, and they compete between each other. And their thing is, a lot of people, they don't want to stay anywhere else in Calgary. They want to stay in those areas where their aunties, their cousins, somebody else is staying, their cuisine is there, the restaurants are there, all the masalas, all the grocery stores and everything. So they only want to stay in that one community, creating a huge demand, even to an not as popular community, and actually making it popular and more expensive. It is quite expensive now in northeast of Calgary, like never before through the years. It's another thing how immigrants contribute towards their housing. Like this would be probably the best example where immigrants could actually contribute towards the housing prices. Another part is it's not so much in Calgary, it's more of a Vancouver thing, is shared housing or mixed families or however you want to call it. What's the term for it? I have to Google. There must be some kind of term for it by now in a dictionary, because what immigrants do is, okay, look at this. There isn't. That's a good example of a house that is over, probably, guys. I haven't seen how it look inside, but I would say 1.5, 1.7 million dollar. That house should cost. I don't know exactly. I have to look inside to be accurate on how much that could cost. But just knowing that the location and the properties, this one is facing the lake. 3-car garages, for example, here in Midnapore, Calgary, in the southeast. Okay, you have 3 garages. You could literally have the lots of square footage. You could have multiple families living in that kind of property. And that's the situation in Vancouver right now, is that people cannot afford buying a house. So what they do is there is 6 people working, and immigrants are more okay to do that than Canadians, because maybe some countries and some cultures are more used to that kind of accommodation. For me, I wouldn't be like, I would have a very difficult time tolerating another family within my household. But this is what I heard. One family lives upstairs on the second floor, one on the main floor, third one in the basement, 6 people working. I don't have so many fingers on my one hand. 6 people working, and together they qualify for a good mortgage. They put the mortgage together and they buy a house that otherwise would have been unaffordable to any of those 3 families independently. Now, what does it do? It puts a situation where people have to live together like that, and it pushes the housing market actually up in price. So otherwise people that would not be able to afford that house, and eventually that housing market would go down, and immigrants are more likely and prone to this kind of housing arrangements. They kind of are okay with that, depending on which countries they're from. I don't want to point countries, I don't want to label anything, guys. I'm not allowed to talk about different regions, even if I know about those regions. For my obvious reason, people are going to stereotype me for something I'm not anyways. So yeah, people would buy that, and the housing prices would go up, because oh no, house is like $3 million in Vancouver. People still buy it because it's not comfortable, it's not good, but some people are okay to live like that, and it can go down in price because there are people who are willing to do that, and they would live like that. Now, and also, guys, of course, rental market. As an immigrant myself, guys, when I came to Canada, first thing I did is rent. And I would search for something more affordable. Like, I wouldn't be buying a house, or buying a condo or anything. I first rented, like most of the houses even here, they do have basements. So there are some basements that would, for example, like you have a house right here in front of me. There would be like a side door like that one. You go around, then there would be a back door inside the property, and a separate entrance with the kitchen, and you stay there. Those are the basement. It's not like back home where I'm from, where basement is basically you have pipes and sewer system and the utility room and rats running around, let's say. In Canada, actually they make basements like basements. It's not like a pit and a hole where all your utilities go in. It's actually a place behind the house, which is like an apartment, but slightly underground. Sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on the structure, if it's a walkout basement or not. So depending on that, it's where your windows are at your eye level or somewhere up. And there's a lot of legal and illegal basements, so people would rent those, and that's a more affordable option. People would even go to an extent of renting the place by the room. For example, I have a Ukrainian family right now with, I think, I forgot which other, I think it's Brazilian family. There are two sets of immigrants. One family from Ukraine, like myself, and there is another one from Brazil. So they want to rent my condo. I own multiple real estate properties, now in Canada, and I do have long-term and short-term rentals. That's what I do to create my passive income and to, to kind of contribute for my own retirement. And I want to tell you guys, I came to Canada with nothing, so I didn't have any savings, I didn't borrow anything from my parents, and I had to literally work and save and work and save. And it's possible to still own multiple real estate properties, especially if you're in Calgary, Alberta. That's why everyone is moving. So for now it's possible. And anyways, guys, they are doing the same thing. There will be 2 people in 1 bedroom and 2 people in another bedroom, and they will be sharing the rent, and it would be more affordable for them. Otherwise they won't be able to have such a good location where my condo is, and for such a price. So it becomes way cheaper. That's how I rented my apartments with 2 other guys. Okay, one of them was from Russia, one guy from Ukraine, and I'm from Ukraine. It all happened before any situation, conflict happened between, that ridiculous conflict that happened between Ukraine and Russia that turned people against each other so badly. I don't want to dive into this topic. My parents are still in Ukraine, and they're still hiding from air raid alarms, and it's horrible. Anyways, back to the topic. Let's not talk about the things I don't want to talk about. So yeah, I paid for my bedroom. My bedroom was a master bedroom with a separate bathroom, so I paid $513. That time rents were cheaper, and my friend, who had the smallest, tiny little shelf-style room, he paid $315, and another guy paid $415. So we just decided to subdivide in such a way that whoever gets the biggest room. First, initially, we wanted to have everyone pays the same, but then I was like, you know what? I don't want to pay the same if I'm in the smallest room. So I told these guys, I was like, hey, I'm willing to pay $100 more for rent if I get the bigger room. So that I have more freedom and I don't have to share the bathroom with 2 other roommates. I know, especially with the guys, I don't want to share the bathroom with any of the men. So, because they don't clean after themselves. So, even Ukrainians and Russians. So I was pretty blessed to have my own hygiene and things like that. And it worked out. So in that way, guys, yeah, we increased the competition as international students with no money, with no jobs. We were able to show the savings, and we were able to get certain things. Same thing with the immigrants. So immigrants do contribute to the housing crisis in Canada, and especially rental. And they do contribute towards, like, for example, I helped somebody else. Guys, I help a lot of immigrants. I mainly work with immigrants as a real estate agent myself here in Calgary, Alberta. So I work because I've been telling people to move to Canada for more than 5 years now on YouTube, how amazing the country is. Then I joined real estate just over 2 years ago, and I've been helping a lot of immigrants find property. So I mainly work with immigrants and very few Canadian families that were actually born and raised in Canada. But I'll tell you what other things happen with immigrants. For example, I had a client. They have property in India. They sold it. They put a down payment in Canada. They have a mortgage. They offset that mortgage. Then they get another property or a business that they have in India. They're going to buy another property. So immigrants, from not every immigrant in Canada, even though we are okay to adapt and live in a very pathetic conditions sometimes, in basements, sharing rooms, and doing whatever it takes in order to get the immigration done and save up some money for a down payment for the property. What we are good at is actually managing money in order to come to Canada at first place, because it's super expensive to even come here, and bring that money, invest into Canada, and start our lives here. So yes, immigrants do contribute towards the housing crisis, but I wouldn't blame immigrants solely for this problem. I think it's more of a government problem. Canada has so much of land, second biggest country, yet it doesn't have houses. I mean, okay, this is what we have, guys, and there is lots of other reasons. Building permits, for example, the developers not releasing the land, government bureaucracies, inflation, about that, economic, struggles and other things. So there are lots of things that influence the price of the housing, but the most important part is lack of it and high demand of it. And as long as people can afford paying more, and there's not going to be enough, it will always go up. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and don't blame us immigrants. I hope, I just decided to make a video to tell you what are the things that can contribute towards it. But once again, it's only for very narrow-minded people who would say that immigrants are the sole responsibility for the housing prices going up. And there are some people who even believe that the government just gives it to us immigrants for free. First of all, since I came to Canada, I figured out there is nothing free here except, a food bank where if you go there as an immigrant, you feel really ashamed of yourself because it's pretty difficult. If you it's almost like admitting your own defeat if you go there. So you're not going to find too many immigrants going to them if it's completely unavoidable. So, and there is nothing free in Canada, nothing. No lunch for free in Canada, nothing you get from the government for free. It's all just a myth that doesn't exist. See you guys in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and I hope you all find housing. See you soon. Bye for now.